neighbors to present where their positions, let the concerns be taken into account before a final decision is made with respect to what you're planning to do in Glenmont. And with that being said, I'd like to turn it over to Sylvia Rollins, who's going to speak first.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all for having the patience to listen to us. And Patrick, what you said resonated with me.
Yeah, you're not talking loud enough.
Oh, thank you. You tell me when I'm too loud, okay?
You're too soft.
So Patrick, what you said resonated with me, like you heard this morning that there would be a crowd here. I think really it came Friday, but it doesn't matter. It was a short window of time. And we feel very much the same way as the residents of Halter Road and Glenmont Road and all of the side streets there. We just recently caught wind of what was going on when they clear-cutted the land. So you'll get from us this really raw sort of story, because we were surprised that and I know it's not you, it was the town board in Bethlehem who did not provide us ample notification, and we see ourselves as in the line of fire and expected letters from the board and from the port to say, here's what's happening in your neighborhood. I'm an environmentalist and I'm a green advocate. I'm desperately concerned about global warming, so I share with you that same interest. I have grandchildren who live on Halter Road, who I desperately love, cherish, and want to protect. After reviewing the timeline for this project that goes back years, and then the recent rush to move forward, the desire to get out front, to be the first, the biggest, most aggressive in green energy, and to capture the most in political goodwill, it has resulted in perhaps a loosening of standards, and that is not okay. We shouldn't pay attention to global environmental issues and to be the biggest, the first, the best at the expense of our local environment. I live on Halter Road. I live at the top of Halter Road. The topo map says I'm 140 feet at the best vista I have, and I wish to retain that vista. However, now I know when I look out from 140 feet, there'll be smokestacks that I now see instead of the mountains behind. You may think this is small fry, but when you put up with and hardly worth notice, my vision will cease to exist September, October, with the first building that's erected. Additionally, there have been permitting failures in this rush to move forward. There has been incomplete, inaccurate, ever-changing plans that we have followed as they've changed and morphed and grown, but have been unable to get a final version of what this will look like, so that we can craft our responses, ask questions, and feel respected and invited to collaborate in this process. From our perspective, and from the work that we've read, that this project is going to cause increased noise, increased traffic, increased air pollution, a drain on our public safety resources, and we know you have contracts lined up in New York City. We know you have school, community colleges who are looking to build curriculum to advance your agenda. We know you have secured zoning variances. What?
30 seconds.
Well, thank you. We know you have secured zoning variances, which recent prints, maybe they're not current prints, have showed you're going over those variances, and you received tax exemptions. We have come here today to tell you, while impressive, it's not enough. There are neighborhoods, Ezra Prentice notwithstanding, who have not had the opportunity to come and talk with you, nor have you reached out to us. We will be as equally impacted. We want an opportunity to participate in the process which has been denied to us to date. We want to stipulate, we are asking that the town of Bethlehem stipulate and rescind and we want you to stipulate, we want the town of Bethlehem to rescind and vacate their decisions. We've asked for such, and it will give you time to dot your T's and cross your I's. Dot your I's and cross your T's, and build respectful conversations with the neighborhood. We can be completely supportive, or we can be completely loud. And we would love the opportunity to be supportive. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to step out for, how do you want to do this?
We'll do it as a group.
Okay.
That's, so Chairperson, Mr. Dent, I obviously let the first speaker go over significantly, because I knew you had written comments, and it was a little bit of jitters, so that was 5 minutes. We're gonna hold to 3 minutes.
I will hand my minutes to Chris. What's left of my minutes, you can take my minutes.
No, that's okay, Donna, why don't you have anything to say?
Just a couple of things. First of all, it seemed like for such an enormous project with the breadth of it, that it was very well kept secret. I never got word of this until I have clients that live right on Old River Road. They're in one of those 6 houses that I believe run along Old River Road. That's the first I heard about it. And that was after 80 acres of trees had been felled. I think that the residents have been denied due process. I think that this is being shoved down everybody's throats by the powers that be. And it's a very political issue. And the little guy, his rights have been trampled on. And I think it's wrong. I think it's arbitrary and capricious. And I have a law degree. As a matter of fact, I know that it is. And I just don't like the way that it was done. No one ever knew a thing about this until the trees were already gone before I even knew, and I live up the hill. And I have clients that live there. So that's all I have to say. From a legal aspect, it was improper. Thank you.
No.
I don't think Phil's gonna speak.
No, that's me.
Go ahead.
My name is Janine Getz. I live on Retreat House Road. And just like my neighbors have said, I had no idea about this project until that land was cleared. And my 5-year-old said, Mommy, why are all those trees gone? What happened to all those animals? Where are those animals gonna live? And are they gonna do the same thing to us? So you tell me, how do you explain to a 5-year-old what these bad people are doing? Now, mind you, I'm a teacher. I don't make that much money. I have 2 little ones. I have a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old. We just moved in 2 years ago. I wasn't told anything about this project. No mailings, no flyer, no knock on my door, no nothing. But you go into the center of Bethlehem and Del Mar, there could be a shoulder being put in and people are knocking on doors, putting flyers in mailboxes. Now, I know maybe that's not your doing or what have you, but it's just, I mean, what, because we don't make enough money, we're not a CFO or a CEO or the head of a board or a lawyer or what have you, we don't make enough money, so we don't matter? And that's legitimately written in the plans for this project. That because I don't make enough money, I don't matter. And because the median salary in Bethlehem and Del Mar is about $94,000, most of the jobs that you're making and bringing to Albany, and this is such a good green project, most of the jobs aren't even wanted by Bethlehem because it's not good enough and it's not enough money to even live here. So you have, not only you've killed how many animals and their homes and are causing erosion and everything else, but what about all that fly ash that was kicked up and it was coming into our homes? It was a cloud of dust. How do I know that that has not adversely affected my family and everybody around us? Because I don't know about you, I'm sure most of you probably have children. How would you feel if this was happening in your backyard and you weren't given any notice? Because, like I said, I don't make that much money. I don't have all this savings to go out and buy another house, and we've already been told by realtors that we can't list the house because nobody wants to live next to a factory. So we have cancerous fly ash being emitted from your smokestacks that are supposed to be built, and like, I don't remember who said it, but we don't even know what the final plan looks like for this. There's all of a sudden this magical waste facility that's gonna be put in right across from my property. I have a garden that we grow vegetables and food in. How do I know that's safe for my kids? How do I know that you haven't already affected my health? This is not okay. I don't know how you people sleep at night knowing that you're doing this to people. This is supposed to be a green energy project? And you're putting people's health at risk before this factory has even gone up. There was how many billions of tons of fly ash there already from the old coal factory that was kicked up? And there wasn't even EPA approval to do it. How do you think this is okay? Because you get extra money in your pocket? Then everybody else's lives don't matter? How do you sleep at night? If this was your children being affected, how would you feel? Because how do I know I'm not gonna end up in a hospital with my kids soon because of what you've already done?
Thank you, thank you, Janine. So we'll have some more people come. I'll go get them right now, okay?
Thank you for listening to us.
Donna, can I speak to you for a minute?
Excuse me, please.
Excuse me, you with the first group?
Yeah, but I think I'm staying the whole time.
Guys, get other people on board, okay? Thank you.
During the beginning, it was very loud with the noise on the phone. Could I ask you guys to just go around with your names once more for me? So I can make sure I heard everybody real fast?
Sure. Warren A. Bria, Commissioner.
Thank you.
BCOFFEY, Commissioner.
Georgette Stephens, Commissioner. Megan Daly.
Okay.
Patrick Jordan, from the port, obviously.
Christine Studo.
Studo? Okay.
Ian DeLillo.
Thank you.
Josh Skuban,
Can you spell your name?
SKUBON,
Thank you.
JOSH.
And I'm Roddy Yagan, RODDYYAGAN, report.
You got mine, right? Dave Williams, security at the port.
Thank you.
No,
Someone's gonna have to, excuse me, you got too many people in here, one's gonna have to leave, who wants to stay?
well, is there,
That's up to
is there
them.
a minimum, is
Yeah,
there-
because it's getting too crowded in here, we need room.
Well, how many,
We got-
does this room have a size number?
Yes, I think we're already at that.
Chris, we discussed this outside, we're trying to do the best way to fit
I
everybody, and
understand.
you agreed to it each time you brought.
Well, it looks like there's plenty of room here, and I'm
It's been
standing.
discussed how disappointed people are in the way this started as well, so I think we can all
Trying
discuss
to-
it.
Well, it's here.
That's
One
okay.
more
Yeah,
person.
that's good.
Try
There's
We're
a
gonna make
chair
it
right
I'm the
there.
one that's.
Yeah, yeah.
Then one of
Got
y'all
2
leave.
feet, I can stand right back
Yeah,
up.
that's good.
Thank
But
you.
next time you can
Thank you.
get screen, so, because you're trying to get on camera and stuff for everything else, so. So, you have 3 minutes for public comment each. It's not a back and forth, it's not a hearing, so stenographer obviously is taking your statements down, board will listen to it.
Identify where you live, too.
Okay.
Street.
Before we waste any 3 minutes, can I ask what you mean by the court will listen to it?
We're gonna presumably get a copy of from your stenographer, and we have it on tape, so we'll review what your statements are.
And then?
And we will get back to whatever the decision is made after. Your attorney behind you has a lawsuit in against the court as of last Friday, so it would be against my own interest to have any further discussion before we get into.
So the purpose of today, I just want to be clear before I waste any of my time, the purpose of today is for you to collect comment publicly, to just hold and wait until the lawsuit continues further, but you will not be actually doing anything with it as far as making a determination.
I cannot say that for certain.
Okay.
Okay, Nate, do you wanna start?
Okay,
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I'm Lorraine Johnson, I live at 38 Old River Road. I face, I'm right above the railroad tracks, and I've been down there in that silt, and I tell you, it should have been taken out instead of covered up. It seemed like it would be just as much, but then it goes in the air, so, you know, okay, that's all I got to say. Don't like it, but, so we're showing our support here.
Thank you.
My name is Angela Van Fonda. I live at 175 River Road, so I am dead across from where you guys are gonna be building everything. From my bedroom window, I will see everything. I have a son who's blind, who the noise that you guys are gonna be making is going to, like, his hearing's better than all of ours, so it's going to be extremely loud for him. And on top of it, I have 2 other boys, I have pets, and all this pollution that's going to come from the building and everything else is affecting us. So it's like our livelihood and ways are being taken away, because how are we ever gonna be able to have things outside anymore? Because we're gonna hear all the noise from you guys. And then from my understanding, you're basically right across from us is where you're building the sewer, is it the sewer? So all those smells you say will go towards a Hudson River, but when the wind blows the other way, it's all gonna be in our houses, which means we won't be able to have our windows open or anything, because number one, we'll have the noise, and then we'll have the smell. So I feel like nobody took into consideration that even though there's not tons of us, like being in Delmar, we're still families there, and we wanna live our lives like we have. But I bought my house 12 years ago, and we hear the trains, that's one thing, but to hear noise all the time in the traffic, it's gonna be a little much, especially for somebody who's blind, whose hearing is 10 times better than mine and all of yours. That's what I have to say.
My name is Rachel Apunte. I live at 93 Glenmont Road. I'm just a straight shot up the road from where you've been clearing for your project. I'm standing outside with just a bunch of regular people like me. We're just people who work, raise our families, live our lives, try to leave the world a little bit better than when we left. And I don't know why you're doing what you're doing. I have a pretty good idea, because you've kept it so clandestine, that you know how it will affect us, and y'all don't care. So what can I say to a room full of people like you who don't care about me and the quality of my life, my health, the quality of the people that I'm here with? You don't care, and it's not right. It's just not right. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
How you doing, folks? My name's Kellen, from the ones that live up at the end of Halter Road, 64 Halter Road. I live at the, I'll get a little louder. I live up at the end of 64 Halter Road. I get the bird's eye view of all of the mutilation and destruction of the natural landscape. You know, I think there's not much more for me to say than what folks have already said. It's obviously an operation of bad faith from my perspective. There was a significant lack of transparency. The entire process from our perspective has been carried out sort of in the dark of night without any significant exchange of information, and feels as though we're operating in bad faith. So, you know, I think we gotta sort of understand, I think, what the hell is going on and why. Just what's going on? Why? What pollutants? What am I exposing my 2 children to? I have a 5-year-old, I have an 8-year-old. What are they exposed to?
Can I say one more thing I forgot to say? I was told that we should have received a letter, because I'm 200 feet from where you guys will be building. And nobody on River Road, and as far as anyone near us, never received a letter that this was even happening. And I was told that because we were so close, we were supposed to get a letter. Never have we received a letter. And my 85-year-old neighbor would be here, but she would never be able to make it up the stairs. And she would say the same thing, none of us got letters. So that's another thing that wasn't done. Thank you.
My name's Nathaniel, Nate. I'd just quickly be curious to know
Where
who
you
I'm.
live?
Huh? I live at 9 Anders Lane. I purchased the house. I closed. Actually, I may be one of the newest residents in this community. I closed on November 17th. At a time when houses were the most expensive they've ever been, but I chose to close at that time because my interest rate would be so low. And nobody contacted me that I was making a terrible investment with the very little money I've been able to save in my small life. I'm from a low-income family. I'm the first person in my whole life, in my whole family, to have a college degree, a master's degree. I'm trying to make eye contact with all of you, but I'm not getting it. I'm a person who's trying to excel and change my life for the better, and I bought a home because that's what everyone says to do. And nobody at all told me you're making a bad investment. I could have bought a home anywhere. I bought this home. And nobody told me your home's value could depreciate by half because of this insane stuff that's going on. And an added layer, just so you all know why I'm so serious about this and why I'm being so serious, is because I'm not just a resident in this community, I am, but I'm also the executive director of the Pride Center of the Capital Region. And the job that I had before this was writing state policy. Several of my friends work at the DEC and have already talked to me about some of the things that have happened there. Yesterday, I spoke publicly with Paul Tonko, who I leaned over to during the hearing, during Saratoga Pride, to say, hey, I live about 1,100 feet away from the project that's happening on the Hudson. I'm a big voice. I will be using it. So I'm not here to be a resident that just tells you about how sad it is that my kids are eating something that could give them cancer, which is sad enough. I'm not here just telling you that I'm somebody who's trying to climb the generational wealth ladder at a time when inflation is the highest it's ever been, and in a region where I'm trying to make a future for myself as a leader. I'm also here telling you that I'm literally an advocate, and I will not sleep every single day until this is changed. You all know that it's wrong. I know that it's wrong because I have been in a room before when someone has said, well, technically there's a caveat, so we could just push the tree clearing and do it instead. No one will know. Except every room in my small brick house I can now see the river from. That sounds great. I couldn't see it when I bought the house. That terrifies me. What happened to all those trees? What happened to every animal that was in every single one of those trees? What happens to the 2 garden boxes that I just spent every weekend building by myself and planting groceries in because I can't always afford all the groceries that I have to buy? What do I do? Also, if that's a 3-minute timer, I'd like to know the policy that says I only have 3 minutes, and I'd like to use some of the time that my other folks did not use.
You're here, I yield.
Thank you, and thank you.
No, I didn't get 3 minutes, that's for sure.
Okay? Because I know how this stuff works. You have someone on the other side of the table who actually knows how it works. Was that the 3-minute timer? Yes. Did anyone inform anyone over here that you had someone waiting to time us and tell us that we would get 3 minutes? No.
Yes.
You did it for yourselves.
When you sat down.
You said we had 3 minutes.
Correct.
Absolutely. Did you say, as someone who speaks publicly constantly, you say to people, and at the 30-second mark, someone will raise their hand? No. So that's just bad organization on your part, but I have more time for my other folks here, so I'll keep using it. The reason this has got to change is because these folks in this community deserve better than this. We are sitting in a time, in an era in this country when there's a haves and there's a have-nots, and the chasm is widening like wildfire. I would like you all to imagine that you don't have the money to do anything that you need to do for yourself or your children, and then have somebody come and destroy where you live. And then you go to bed every night crying about your children. I know you all want to care, and I know you all do care, and I also understand how hard it is, as the person who sat on your side of the table, to be told you don't care about my life. I understand that's hard, and please don't let that be the takeaway, that you go off and have a pity party about it. I'm sorry that that's hard, but these people are terrified. And you all literally have the power to change it. And I think if there's anything we're seeing in our country right now, it's people who have the power to actually do something, disappointing the people. The other thing that I want to bring up about this that I'm most concerned about for my own personal safety is I live on Andrews Lane. Andrews Lane is 3 houses with 5 total residents. We have 5 cars. We have 2 elderly people, we have myself, and we have a family of 4. That lane is 13 feet wide at its narrowest and is currently considered a 2-lane road that Google and Apple send all cars, including 18-wheelers, including dually trucks with 20-foot flatbeds, including school buses and all other manner of vehicles down. What is your plan for 550 new people driving down my road where 2 children are often in the road, like kids are in the summer, playing with their dogs, when Glenmont Road exists and is a safer alternative for every vehicle? We are terrified. That road has got to be capped off. It should not be used the way that it's used in general. I would invite any of you to my house, 9 Andrews Lane. I'll walk you up and down the road. I'll just let you stand in my yard and watch as an 18-wheeler decides to come by and ask you how safe you feel. Standing in my yard even. This is a life or death issue. This is a program that was meant to help the state, and that's awesome. I also understand, as someone who has political aspirations, that Chuck Schumer is doing a great job and he's getting a lot of visibility for something that he won some money for. That representatives don't want to say no. That it isn't about lining your pockets, it's about a project that you all want to see happen and come to fruition. It's about people above you saying, if we don't do it here, where are we going to do it at? And what I'm asking you to do is be on our side in those meetings and say to those people, I don't know where you're going to do it, Chuck, but it's not my problem. These folks cannot live like this. So, I will cede the rest of my time. I will say thank you for coming here and having this today. I look forward to the next one being much more organized and in a space that can hold the capacity of folks who are outside. Maybe it was a failure of imagination on your part that 30+ people would come because our lives are in danger where we currently live. But please don't let that failure happen again, because we know better now that people will show up, myself included. Thank you.
Yes. I'll get the next group brief.
Thank you. Yep.
public comment round rules. We're doing this each time everybody comes in. You have 3 minutes to speak. I'll clarify because the question the last time, can't cede your time to the next speaker. There's no sharing time. You each get your own individual 3 minutes to speak. If we had a larger room, you might say that someone else has already said what you want to say, so I'm sorry that we can't help that. But if you'd like to start, you have a stenographer here, if you want to give her your name and address for her record.
Sure. My name is Amy Musiker. I live on Glenmont Road, which is just up the road from this project. I'm the highest point in Glenmont. I'm a chartered financial analyst. I'm a former municipal bond analyst with a large bank in New York City. Lived there, grew up and lived in New York City, moved up here. My dream is to have a beautiful farm. I have 54 acres. I've actually been sick in the past month. I couldn't attend the Bethlehem meeting last week, and I'm a little concerned that my health has been compromised by the, actually, I guess what you would say, the illegal, now it is known to be an illegal clearing of 80 acres of wildlife. For the first time, I had a bear come up to my porch. Never had that before. I noticed a lot of birds. You know, there's a disturbance in the environment. I would just like everybody to be aware that this is a huge undertaking, never been undertaken before, by non-American companies. Not that I have a super problem with that, but I think that this has been rushed. From the time that Andrew Cuomo, when he was the governor, you'll recall he was the governor before he had to resign, and he announced this huge project. And okay, great, you know, like green. Well, I don't think this is green. I think this is black. I think this is a black idea, or a, whatever, I don't want to be whatever. Because I don't think it's green, because I think that, I don't know if you've actually determined what the impact is going to be on noise. There's noise pollution. What about light? There are going to be towers. You know, light towers with beacons and stuff like that. You have the wildlife displacement. You have the, you know, whatever they did at the base of the river. You're compromising the health of the Hudson River, which you've been trying to fix for 1 million years with GE and the dredging. They decided not to do dredging there because it would bring up too much. Who has really looked into the ash? I have a cough, I have a sore throat that I can't figure out. I've been to 2 doctors already. I'm going to go to urgent care after this. It's not COVID, thank you very much. I tested twice. So there's air pollution, there's water pollution, there are so many unknowns here, and it's like you're going to turn it into, I don't know if it's called the Port of New Jersey, but when I was a kid and you drove through New Jersey, you had to roll up the windows, it stank. This is going to stink. You're going to kill birds, you're going to kill fish, you're going to kill, there's an unknown. There's such an unknown, and I resent not, I tried to be as aware of the timeline as possible, as much as I could, by doing my own little research. I resent not being notified, being like half a mile from this, and I didn't realize that it was like right there. There's already tremendous noise that affects my hearing from one of the 2 large plants that are right there on River Road. I don't see how you could possibly have measured what the noise pollution is going to be, because it doesn't exist. Okay, and what else can I say? I just hope that everybody takes this to heart. There might be a better place for this, you know, a less rurally, urban-y place. And I want to say too, this is not NIMBYism. I keep on thinking, Amy, this is NIMBYism. It's not NIMBYism. There are really huge concerns out there, and I just don't like seeing things forced through. Like, in fact, that $42.5 million plant, you only got 1 proposal for that because, oh, you know, steel prices going up, inflation. Do your due diligence, do your homework. This is huge. This is much bigger. This is much bigger than any of us thinks. And that's why I'm here today to speak, even though I don't like speaking. So thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Amanda Rollins. I am a registered nurse. I live at 64 Holter Road. We are at the top of the hill as you go up, so again, it's like the first thing you see. You know, site and what a factory looks like, truthfully, is not as important as the implications on people's health. That's the first thing I'm concerned with as a a health professional. I do everything I can in my power to keep my children safe. You've already heard from my husband. I have 2 kids. We chose to live where we live for the implications of our health. Being away from traffic, being, set back off the road, we're one of the many people that have gardens that have done what we can to be environmentally sustainable. And the irony of this whole thing is that a lot of the residents have already spoken about their, their own ways that they have tried to be sustainable for the environment and, health-wise. I have 2 people that live on a road that unfortunately did not come, weren't able to speak today. I remember they wanted to put solar panels in, and they were kind enough to walk up and down this road to people who wouldn't even be impacted by solar panels. Getting signatures and just checking with them, how does this impact you? How does this impact your property? How does this impact your health? Do you have any concerns that you'd like to air? And the 2 people closest to them did have an opportunity to speak and say, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's wonderful that you're using solar panels and that you're being so environmentally conscious. There's a lot of grievances that have been aired today, but I think the most critical one is that, we might not be a huge amount of people here today, although I am very proud of the people that have come, and I have to also say thank you to the people that have made this problem, made us aware of this problem. But the health of the people of these communities should come first and foremost, and it's especially kids, I'm a younger person, it's not easy to buy a house, it's not easy to pay for things. The ripple effect that this takes on, the value of our property, we can't get that money back. I can't just sell my house and move somewhere else because a giant factory went in and I have to now be concerned about fly ash. And those are my choices. Realistically, those are my choices. Do I stay here? Do I risk the lives of my children, myself, whom, I'm all my kids have, me and my husband? Do I stay here? Do I risk it? Or, do I even have a choice to find another, however much money it is gonna be to find a house, lose the amount of money I can to sell my house? I mean, these are very realistic problems that we're all gonna be facing now. It doesn't feel particularly fair. I don't, again, if this were completely transparent in the beginning and we were able to say, wow, we have a real problem here, I think that there'd be a lot more people standing outside right now, A, and B, you guys have a better idea of really how dangerous this is for, communities and the people that live here and the people that chose to live here, the reasons we chose to live here. So thank you for hearing us today.
Thank you.
And George for Charlie, Old River Road, right on top of it. Several times I tried to contact through Mrs. Daly online, and I got no response. I requested someone call us. Nothing happened. They kept referring to this whole thing as being South Albany. It's Glenmont, guys. It ain't South Albany. I'm not sure how aware of the boundary, but it's definitely Glenmont. Our house is disgusting with the amount of dust right at the moment that we can't get off our cars, and I don't know what else to say. I'm just too angry to say anything else. I'll just end it like that. But you guys really screwed us good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next week,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's some chairs right here if you want to sit down.
How are you? Good. Stand. He's scared. Okay, thank you. Did I just start talking?
Just a second.
Okay, sorry.
Just push it a little bit, please.
You're still on?
Yes.
Okay.
We're on.
So folks, just for your own edification, your attorney has brought up the stenographer, so you probably want to keep your voice up and clear. Tell her your name and address. For the board's purposes, you each have 3 minutes to speak. If you do not use that 3 minutes, you do not get to share it with someone else. It's just your own internal 3 minutes. That wasn't made clear to another member of the public. Towards the end of your 3 minutes, if you see me go like this, that means you probably have 15, 30 seconds left. I'll try not to be rude about it. I understand why you're here. So, ma'am, you want to go first?
Irene Katko. Can you spell your name? IREMEKATKO. On Retreat House Road, 33. 33 Retreat House Road.
Trails Road. 33 Trails Road.
Yeah. Which road?
Retreat.
House
Retreat.
Road, right? Retreat House.
Retreat House.
Yes, yeah,
Road,
it's
okay.
great.
All right.
So, my problem is that we never got a notice and they got us by surprise. So nobody was asking us. We have, there is a church center. It's Emmanuel Christian Center where our people coming to have the kids. And they just got us by surprise. So we did not have any notice of that, even though nobody asked us. That's my point.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Sergey, S-E-R-G-E-J,
CR, just CR.
G-E-J, S-E-R-G-E-J, K-A-T-K-O, Ketko. We came from Germany about 20 years ago, and we live whole time in by this address, in Retreat House. And every time, if people come here and from different churches, I live by Emmanuel Christian Center. Every time people enjoy this location, and right now I heard that it will be changed. I mean, because of those trucks and different routes and different entrances, they will build or something like this. And we have problem with this. I mean, if people will get so many noises or stuff like this, it will distract them. And like my wife said, we didn't heard anything about this. It was really a really big surprise for us. And I think something is wrong. You know?
Thank you.
My name is Marina Burkle, B-U-R-K-L-E. I'm at 31 Retreat House Road, so right next to my parents. So same thing, we've been here in the Retreat House Road for 20 years this year. And one of the big blessings that we have experienced is the Retreat House Road being a wonderful place for the kids to play, ride their bikes, take walks. Just yesterday, my daughter and I, with the little one, were going down the street, and I was just saying to her how wonderful it is that there's not a lot of cars, and we're safe to ride down the street, and it's beautiful. So, sorry, I'm getting emotional, but yeah, just the prospect of so many more cars being on our road, even with the bus. We have a bus business at the end of the road, even with them coming in, it was like so many more cars, even though they could go on 144. So if we have like 500 new employees going back and forth, they will inevitably use our road, even though it's not absolutely necessary, and that is going to definitely destroy, you know, our peace and quiet. Sorry. And I'm really concerned about that for my children and for myself, and also for the retreat house where people come to rest and to get away from noise, and then to have all that traffic down the road. Yeah, we're very upset about that. We don't want that to happen, of course. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else wanna say anything?
You're welcome to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more group.
There's ramps right there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm not.
700-41-702.
Like, I feel it's not.
Your table's not vibrating?
This one is. So can I ask, are these meetings always Monday at noon?
No, usually on Wednesday.
At noon?
Yes.
Once a month. No, not every.
Gotcha. It's so inconvenient for people who work. Like, I'm a teacher, so that's why I'm able to be here, but, you know, like, my husband works full-time, and almost everybody out there took the day off so that we could be here. Like, I get that you guys work too, but maybe you would try to do it towards the end of the day, so it's a little easier on people.
Live after, so I'll report.
Whatever you like me to say.
Those three.
Oh, yeah, any of those
Right there.
things are good.
There's gonna be snacks. You gotta sit.
Go ahead.
So Paul, why don't you sit here and see if you can sit down?
Yep, I'll sit down. I'm all left.
So,
You're
folks,
going
for purposes of this meeting, your attorney brought a stenographer, so for his benefit and hers, you can enunciate, you're gonna wanna tell her your name and address as you start. You have 3 minutes for comment each. It's not shared with each other, it's individual.
Okay.
I'll try to gently notify you if you're approaching the 3 minutes. Okay?
Thank you. Would you like to speak to me?
I'll do mine too.
Okay.
I'm Steve Conis, I live at 16 Wigan Drive, London, New York. I thank you all for listening to all of us there, and I was just mentioning out there that as I look around at the crowd, these are people that I know, and we're all being pulled together because of the decisions that have been made. And what's really hard for me, I tell my wife all the time, I have incredible faith in our government that things are gonna go well, and I'm looking at a wind turbine plant being put up, and I felt really good about it, but this is not, I'm blown out of the water by how much the people out there don't know about what's going on at all, and where to get answers, where to have their questions put out to, where to find any answers to those questions, with incredible horrific consequences. And you've been just listening to all of them, so I don't need to rephrase those, but I'm shocked, and this is not how this should be done. I'm shocked that I didn't hear about it, didn't know what was going on until it went up. And it's kind of electrified me, and in some ways, it's changed my life, right, already, just in the past few days. So I'm a little worried about where this is gonna go, and I just retired 2 days ago, but this might be my calling right now. So I
He's a
hope you
science
understand. I taught freshwater ecology this year, and I've discussed these topics before, but I've never had a single point of interest where I could direct that, except for Keep Home in the Chesapeake Bay and things like that. But this seems like where we're supposed to go. I know you all are wonderful people, but these are people's houses that these decisions have been made for. People's livelihoods, their families. And for them to have no say in what decisions were being made, it's just unfounded to me, and it shook me to the core. So I don't know where this is gonna go, but I'm sure it's gonna go somewhere. And I appreciate you for listening. Thank you.
Susan Konis, I live at 16 Brigham Drive, in Glenmont. I'm an educator as well. I found out when I was driving down Glenmont Road, not using Ponders Lane, because I know that that is a horrible lane to use, and will bottom out my car. I saw the trees being cleared. I was like, geez, I feel like the Lorax is going on. I feel like Dr. Seuss, because I teach little kids, is happening all over here. And I was like, why don't I know about this? And I understand there's the letter of the law, and I understand there's a spirit of the law.
Okay.
And I understand that notifications were being given. Okay, fine. Maybe the spotlight, which nobody gets anymore. Nobody gets a paper, physical paper, very few people. Maybe in the Times Union, maybe, I don't know, public notice on websites. But when the little roundabout was being put in, which they did a very good job mitigating the impact, I had notification postcards, letters, a website I could sign up for text, for real-time information on projects being done at the roundabout. And they're kind of equidistant. I don't know, it might be a little closer on the roundabout distance, from my home to the roundabout. But they're pretty close to being equidistant. And something of the size and the scope, this is the largest turbine windmill in the country. This company is in the country on this little parcel of land with these people sandwiched in between National Grid, a bunch of fly ash, and this project. The amount of the environmental impact, the quality of life impact, the noise pollution, I could go, the visual pollution, the water pollution, oh my gosh, I have so many questions because I just found out when the land was cleared that this was going on, and I don't know where to get those answers. And I think that's what's most concerning to me, is that I have nobody I can talk to, nobody I can turn to, nobody I can talk to get real answers. I don't know who's gonna be monitoring this site when it's done, supposing it goes through. I don't like that variances were granted, and I know that had nothing to do with you, but I don't like how this is being done. Like I said, there is a right way and a wrong way, there's the letter of the law, and there's the spirit of the law. And this is not how you get a community behind a project. This is not how you treat people who are going to be adversely impacted by the traffic, the noise, the pollution, the visual impact of this, the sheer enormity of this plant. It's just not how people treat other people. It's not civil. It's not the way this country should be run. And that's really all I have to say about that.
Hi there, my name is Paul Kinnear. I live at 51 Hartman Road in Glenmont, off of Glenmont Road, and I just bought that house this past November. And obviously, I was notified of a new project for a factory to be built to construct wind turbines to ship them down the Hudson. Just like everybody else, by seeing that the land was cleared and then only learning from word of mouth as to what was actually going on. At first I was like, cool, bring jobs, maybe some of those things that people would be excited for as far as, you know, adding value to this town. But it's actually like a domino effect of one negative impact after another. So it seems, I still have all of a sudden not really heard anybody with actually anything positive to say about this project now. Now, something really messed up happened where the town, at our town hall that I only found out about an hour before I actually went to this town hall, they reported to us that they knew about this for about 3.5 years. What the F is that? Why is that? That doesn't make any sense. That the town would know for 3.5 years and like have it be kept quiet from public knowledge. Now they gave us some bull about it was on the website every single week. No, it wasn't. Plenty of people go to town halls meetings enough to know that there was a multi-million-dollar project coming down the line that has also had an initial skip over of code in order to remove all of that land, remove all of that, the trees and so on, already violating some sort of building code. And so if you're starting off your fucking project with, right off the bat, violating codes, what kind of faith are we supposed to have now that you're not going to continue to escalate with more and more code violations? Now, the other thing that I want to talk about was the scale. Okay, this project's been around for 3 years. Originally it was 200 employees, 5 smokestacks. Now it's 500 employees, 40 smokestacks, 100 feet, 200 feet. It just continues to scale, and it doesn't seem like there's any sort of backing away of that in sight. And so you guys have been doing a number of things secretly for about 3 years. That's not happening anymore. Like, everything that you guys do from now on will be viewed, and we will follow up with what's going on. And if we need to sue or to, you know, have some sort of lawsuit to stop you from taking advantage of people that are just trying to live in this area, then we'll do that. Like, we're not going to just end this meeting, not let it go anywhere, like things have been happening as they have been, anymore. And so be very mindful from now on what you do, because we expect to be notified as to, or we expect to follow through with you as to keeping up with code and keeping up with making sure that our homes, whether they go up and down in value, that doesn't really matter at this point, but the health and safety is the #1 priority. And if you guys are going to try to go around certain processes, we're absolutely going to do anything that we can to fight back. So, thank you.
Hi, my name is Mary Charlie. I live at 29 Old River Road. That's exactly across the street from where they took all the trees down. I've been having problems with sinuses, can't breathe, coughing. The ash is all over the place. It's not fair. We just cannot live in that area with all that ash and all that stuff blowing around from the trees. Now they tried to tell us they were all cotton trees. They are not all cotton trees. There are more trees than that. We've had livestock coming into, well, not livestock, but live animals coming into our yard. We have turkeys running on the street. We have baby turkeys running on the street. It's not fair. They took their homes away. Now where are they gonna go? I live right across the street. I do not want to live there anymore. I cannot. I'm sorry, but that's the way things are gonna have to be.
I don't know what else to say.
Thank you. Sir?
Hi there, good morning, I'm Steve Peterson, I've been a 35-year resident of the town of Bethlehem. I guess some people would label me as the guy that goes to the town meetings and shares with everyone what's going on. If the town of Bethlehem is watching here today, which they probably are not, these people had a horrific experience last Wednesday at the town board meeting where they all came for the very first time to their town hall and had the bravery to stand up in front of the public comments microphone in front of everyone that was there and speak and cry and go through a heartfelt description that you probably have seen here today. And after all that was done, it turns out that the microphone was turned down, turned off, in my opinion. I speak there a lot. And there was only one person who was actually picked up on the microphone on the recording system that they record the meeting like you're doing here today. One person, that was me. Because as you can tell, when I speak to a group, I speak to a group. So I think they just picked up the residual of my voice on the recording system. All the other people were not picked up at all. Same persons that were here today. That's horrible, and I don't think it was a mistake. The microphone worked in-house in the PA system. You could hear exactly what the folks were saying. But the other 6 microphones on the panel like you guys, every single word was recorded. The public comment microphone was not. And that's stereotypical of what goes on in the town of Bethlehem. So without to repeat the stories you heard from these people that live down in this affected area, let's talk about something that was at your May 6th meeting here. Another meeting that was oddly recorded. Like the first part of it is like blank. You can see you on that camera. And you can see like a whole bunch of blank. And then the meeting starts like halfway through. So when it did start, here's what you talked about, amongst other things. The department, the state DOT, which owns the River Road, declined to change the speed limit and make that a work zone. Anybody gonna nod yes on that? It was in your meeting on May 6th. So because they're not gonna make it a work zone, that means your planned route of travel on some of these maps was to come south, meander through here because you're not going through Ezra Prentice, what I totally get. Came through here, you gotta exit over near Beers at the traffic light, go left south on the River Road, and then go left in the brand new entrance that you're gonna make. Actually, it'll be the single entrance you're gonna make into the project area. The state DOT will not allow you to turn left. According to your notes, that's true. And you said that you alerted the town of Bethlehem, and you alerted the companies, the contractors that have the aggregate contracts, that there's gonna be change orders, probably some big ones. So they can only go right into the plant entrance that they're gonna make, and then you can only exit right from the plant to go back to get more aggregate. So what you haven't done, and that was over a month and a half ago, who's gonna communicate that? Who's gonna communicate that Glenmont Road and Corning Hill Road is going to be in play to have these trucks, which I think is rated and approved for 20 trucks per hour each way. We just experienced a bunch of trucks going each way here, waiting outside for this opportunity. So who's gonna communicate that to the town of Bethlehem residents? The town of Bethlehem? Are you effing kidding me? They're not gonna do it. They're not gonna let anybody know. Who is gonna communicate what the path is gonna be for these trucks that are gonna meander through the town of Bethlehem? Who is going to do that? Is it gonna be this authority or whoever the project manager is? Because we went to the town of Bethlehem, they claim they're no longer involved. Although you meet with them at 8 o'clock in the morning and have stuff discussed, and then you report back to this board saying, we have a meeting with them tomorrow, we hope to get the approvals that we want and move ahead. Yeah, really? It's not a public meeting because it's not on the agenda. You didn't meet with the board. Who did you meet with? So here's the question again. What is going to be the route of all those trucks that are gonna dump all that stone that you're having a fret about because you're having a hard time, well, according to your video, trying to gather up enough aggregate locations to get it trucked here. Because once you get it trucked here, and you turn right into the plant entrance that they're gonna make, and you turn right to leave, how are they going back to the plant? We'd like to know, from some group, because I'm gonna tell you, it's not gonna be the town of Bethlehem. So somebody should take control of that, because you didn't do it, you didn't alert these people. I heard somewhere that was like 200 feet from the work site. What was that, the address that you came up with? I don't know, what's the address there, 306? Or is it this address? I don't know what the heck the address is. I don't even know who you send postcards to. The muskrats and the raccoons that all got vacated from their homes? Who is gonna communicate what the truck route is gonna be? Because you gotta dump a bunch of stone down, and then it's gotta sit there for 4 months as it settles before you even get to the next phase. And you're way behind. And I'm sure that's bugging a lot of people, because your contracts are getting extended, and you're gonna wonder where you're gonna get all the money from. And I think Mr. Schumer's not gonna wanna hear from you, because he's pretty pissed off. So I dropped the dime on this, because it showed up on Spectrum News late on a Friday night. Saturday morning I catch it, Steve Peterson catches it, and I put it out on social media. I sent the message out to the people who follow me, thousands of them in the town of Bethlehem. Nobody wants to make a comment on it. I saw it. No one would make a comment, because you're probably under some investigation where you can't make a comment. But nobody knows who put the halt on the job, nobody's taking credit for it, and nobody's been back since before Memorial Day. No one. And I sent a notice out to the TV crews. I'm not sure where this gentleman's from.
You have 30 seconds.
And nobody would pick it up. So I get it. They're beholden to others. They're not gonna tell this story. It's not being told at all. But we're gonna tell the story. So lastly, very minimum, let somebody know in the town of Bethlehem, not the town of Bethlehem, folks. Let us know what the path is that you've selected to tell these trucking companies who have contracts with you already, and how the stone is gonna enter, be dumped in a right-hand turn, and then leave the plant entrance, right-hand turn, to those two roads, Glenmont Road or Corning Hill. Please let us know. Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Do you have some, oh, that's, is there anybody else?
I just have a couple comments. I think that's it. So I think we heard some really some heartfelt comments. And there's been failures of communication. And that's not gonna go away easily. The feeling that people have that they've been betrayed. Now, there's something that's called, and I'm not an environmentalist per se, but I know that there's certain people on this board that are environmentalists. And there's a concept called environmental justice. And you know, there was some concept that I thought was kind of good, that you know, that the project down on South Pearl Street would have notice, they'd have meetings, they'd have some sort of participation. And you know, we have a lot of people down in the Glenmont community who are really feeling hurt because they were not included in the process. And this project really should have been publicized. There should have been proper notice. You have the opportunity now to say to the town of Bethlehem, stop. Let's have some public meetings. Let's pull back on the approval that you made for zoning board of appeals for site plan approval. Let's take another look at it. And there are a lot of comments that people still want to make, and they want to be informed. You know, and you missed your opportunity. And I'm sorry to be here, being the fly in the ointment, but you know, with this group. But we want to know, and we don't want this to proceed. And you've heard some determination from folks, and you have, you know, you just, you know, we're not going away. And just a couple things quickly, you know, a little bit more detailed. And, the story's not about me necessarily, because I'm just the attorney, but I live in that area, and I know the history of Glenmont. And the history of Glenmont, if you go down 9W, right, and you hit Bush Road, you think that's the center of Glenmont. It is, you think that is Glenmont. It is not. The real Glenmont, all right, was down on River Road and Glenmont Hill Road, and that whole stretch here. And you guys, the visual analysis that was done, I don't even get it. You don't identify any of the people there. Holton Road, Retreat House Road, Glenmont Hill Road, Old River Road, Halter. Now there were mansions on that road. The Hudson River came right up to, pretty close to River Road. All right, they built they filled in these islands with 2 million tons of fly ash, with who knows what else. Okay, they kind of moved Glenmont away from the river. But guess what? I think maybe some residents have some rights to that river. Those residents definitely have a right, and it's called environmental. It's a constitutional right now, the environment. There are certain rights that are guaranteed pursuant to the New York State Constitution that went into effect in January of 2022. There was a big referendum to that effect, and it passed. So I think this board needs to take another look at that whole process, see whether you fulfilled the intent and purpose of that before you move any further. The sneaky thing in my mind was the zoning board of appeals heightening of the buildings. And there's a whole waiver history that I'm looking at here. Waiver from DEC, waiver from this guy, waiver from that entity. Everything's been waived. Well, what about the rights of the people that, you know, who's you know, the things were codified and put into place for? Everything's a waiver? Come on, we can do better than that. To have the parking lots even not on your property, but on Niagara Mohawk property, and then inching up close to those people on Old River Road and on River Road. It's unconscionable to not let those people know. And what you say that they're more than 200 feet away. Well, you give the notice to those people who, you know, if you give it to who's impacted, you're going to have to give notice to hundreds of people. And I'm not talking about just I don't need the commercial properties. How can you give the notice to those commercial properties and not to the residents? What? Oh, National Grid got a notice. They're within 200 feet. Now I know that some of that is town of Bethlehem, but you guys bear some responsibility here too. You can't turn a blind eye. Environmental justice demands that you guys take another look at this, that the thing be reopened, and you go back to the town of Bethlehem and say, we got to start this over. I don't care about your time frames. There are lives at issue here, and if Mr. Schumer were here, or Kirsten Gillibrand, who lives in Glenmont, or Tonko, if he was here, right? He's a local guy. Who am I missing? But I mean, these people would say, yeah, let's take a step back. Let's review this. You're talking about, in addition to the parking lots, you know, beyond the property and the people that didn't get notice of what was going on here, you got blasting, you got drilling going on. You're going to have, in order to fictionalize this access over on National Grid property, to access this project, you're going to have to dynamite blast, drill a lot of bedrock. These homes on Old River Road and all up and down Glenmont Hill Road, they call it Glenmont for a reason, okay? If you look up that term, that's exactly what it is. And you know, there was a community there at one time, and there still is. Guess what? I think you talked to, you know, a lot of people had the opportunity here, and we really appreciate it. But we really need you to take another look at this, because these folks, they're not going away. and you're gonna have to do something about your social justice and your economic, environmental justice, situation here, because it has fallen short. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, one last thing, because the bedrock that these homes are built on, that it goes all up and down River Road, it goes all up and down Andrews Lane, it goes all up and down Glenmont Hill Road, and there are people that have private water sources on these properties nearby. When the blasting and what you do is disrupts water. These are private wells, right? And the people love their water. We're one of them. We live on Hartman Road, and we have a very special water supply. And if that gets disrupted, I think people are going to be very unhappy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did you say something?
Yes, you already did, unfortunately.
I can't say anything else.
Just like any board in the state.
Oh, well, there's a reporter outside. You can talk to them.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, the board can make statements if they'd like. Since the Article 78 proceeding has been started last Friday, I'm going to temper my comments. Mr. Demp knows that I'm not going to respond to things individually. He's made some insinuations and accusations that he cannot possibly back up, especially the last several ones about blasting and other things. I'll remind Mr. Demp, he and I already had a conversation on this in the board, that this process started 4 years ago. We have participated in almost 40 public meetings with the town and outside of the town. Those notice provisions were provided either through town law or state town law. The port, unfortunately, is not responsible for that notice. I do know, as Mr. Demp just said and was told to me previously, that businesses in the area did receive them, a business that Mr. Demp represents. And I know that Mr. Demp, who is a neighbor, has known about this project because he's talked to the port about it for over a year.
That's not true.
What was approved previous to this was a 1 million square foot facility. So as we heard that this has escalated, the port, through its own machinations and its studies, have actually decreased the size of this greatly, almost 40%. The port itself was approved through the town through the generic environmental impact statement, a follow-up environmental impact statement, multiple town hearings, which several residents pointed out were noticed not only by the town, but in the public newspaper. The Times Union, the Business Review, we have a Times Union reporter here, have talked about this project as much as any project I've ever seen in the area, also discussed in private by Mr. Demp and I, that the public description of this project and following is almost unprecedented. The amount of social media that the port puts out about it, outside of what the town does, is also more than we have ever done for another project. The specific complaint that I will address is the truck route. The gentleman is incorrect on what he heard or what he was told. Trucks will be using 2 entrances. Mr. Demp and I have discussed this. They will be able to turn left or right into the southern entrance and turn only right, out of the north entrance, and turn only right out of the southern entrance. Therefore, those trucks will not be allowed to travel south back down River Road. The truck route then sends them in and through the port of Albany, which the gentleman was correct about. Those truck routes, I believe, are on the town's website, as are thousands of pages of documents on the town's website. Most of them have been on our website for longer than we would normally put them up. If there are plans that have been taken down, the staff and the board can consider putting those back up so that it's there for people to view in a different format. I don't know if our internet or our website is different than the town's. The town approved this on multiple avenues, through multiple publicly noticed meetings, town board, planning board, zoning board of appeals, EMS, fire, police, everyone was at the table, residents were at the table, because there were several residents at every one of our meetings. I don't believe we ever had a negative point brought to a meeting, because we would have then discussed that negative point, as is our process with all construction projects. Prior to the board approving each one of those things, they had to, of course, go through every single step of seeker, because all town boards, all city boards are fearful of not doing that. It's a state law. In case law is very clear that they do not take a hard look and do not look at all the environmental impacts. That board made this board and its staff go through multiple visual simulations from River Road, from the river, from different aspects, from homes that our engineers did not believe were impacted, and the town board said, I believe there is an issue there, more visual impact. Impact from places a mile away that historic tribal nations believe that they have rights to. They were part of the process. They critiqued it. DEC and other agencies in a weekly meeting have taken stances in this project that have changed this project to comply with internal regulations and obviously black and white written state regulations ad nauseum. We have done things in this project, changed this project, that no other project, no other town or city would ever have a project do. We have jumped through every hoop imaginable, and we did it at public meetings that were recorded all through COVID. I don't know if they were recorded before COVID, but that's the petitioner's issue with the town, unfortunately, not the port. In relation to environmental justice in particular, the port followed a very stringent policy that's set by the state DEC law twice, actually, for the first project and now for this smaller project, notifying everyone that was required through DEC, another agency sending out notifications. Notifications have come from the Army Corps. They have gone to EPA. Several times that was said. EPA is not a part of the approval process for this. And nor has this project been halted by any government agency. The port has stopped the project right now to go through some further permits and to discuss some outside entity involvement. This project has not been asked to stop. That is simply not true. It's offensive, because even if it was put in the paper, it's simply not true. And this is much further than I wanted to get into, but there were just so many things that just simply weren't true. And this board, I know, prides itself on being open and transparent. At the amount of meetings this board has had prior to any action, guiding its staff is above board, and any issues that the petitioners have with the town's process, this board simply cannot address. You're not the town of Bethlehem, you're not one of the town's boards. I'm going to stop there. Stenographer is welcome to remain. We're going to go into our regular business unless any of the commissioners would like to make a statement. Thank you.
I just have one.
There are no further statements. Public comment is over. We're going to take a 5-minute break.
I invite the board to
Okay, hang one second, we're getting ready.
That would cost us bigger.
Okay, it's in the process, but I'll tell you when it's up for sure,
They
100%.
just showed up and said, we tripped it. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, well, the air conditioning. Well,
Agreed.
as I mentioned,
I think that follows me around. When we did a meeting with NBEC, it was running over there.
Coming this morning.
Are you looking at how to make your minutes briefer?
all right, we're on.
Okay, thank you. So we're gonna proceed with the, remainder of our business portion of the meeting, and I'll turn it over to Christine to do the financial update.
Okay, and, I'll be brief. If anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to stop me. Our overall revenue budget is on target through the end of May. This is a change from last month due to the timing and the update of the budget for the public-private revenue. The projection for the year for revenue is expected to be ahead of budget by $500,000, and this is consistent with last month's projection. Our overall operating expenses are ahead of budget by $550,000 compared to $1 million in April. This again is due to the public-private revenue. Our year-end projection for overall expenses are expected to be on budget. Then our next category is our depreciation and other items. We've had an update in our expected depreciation, so we're behind budget year to date through May and expect to be about $250,000 less than what we budgeted for depreciation. So with these changes, we're now expected at the end of the year to be about $690,000 ahead of budget compared to $463,000 we projected last month. Any particular questions on any of our expense or revenue lines?
No, they were pretty straight.
Yeah, thank you, Christine. All right, Rich, I will turn it over to you for, your update.
Thank you, certainly appreciate all your time today and the amount it's taken for this meeting. As I reported last month, we've been having ongoing marketing meetings with FMT and their market division out of Charlotte. We had one again this morning that is giving indications of some new lines of shipping that would be between U.S. ports. The port of Eastport, Maine, and here for our home business. It will be beneficial to both ports if this is able to come back to being. They attended two conferences in the month of June. One was the North Atlantic Ports Association meeting, and the other was the AAPA Shifting Trades meeting, which was originally scheduled in January, but due to COVID had to be backed out into June. At that meeting, I had a good meeting with John Bocari, the outgoing envoy to U.S. ports for the White House. Was supposed to meet with General Stephen Lyons. I'm reaching out to him and inviting him to the port for a visit. He is the new White House envoy for ports, and interestingly enough, following John Bocari into this position, both are local guys. General Lyons was born and raised in Rensselaer, went to LaSalle School, and John Bocari lived on Warden Avenue while he attended SUNY. So we had a lot of shore hours are up just a little bit. They're up slightly from May 21. At this point, for the first 5 months, we've had 24,300 hours. Last year in total, we had 44,900. So it's pointing in a good direction, and it's following what Christine reported on our operating budget. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions for Rich? No, thank you. Thank you, Rich. And Megan, I'll turn over to you.
Okay, two things relatively quick, and then I'll actually defer to Roddy to give an update. But one, we wanted to mention to the board that, our construction manager at risk, Albany, will be holding a public meeting, on July 7th, actually Thursday in the afternoon, so, public can get to it after their work, but it's targeting, trade contractors and particularly, minority and women-owned companies. It's going to be held at the Capitol Center for local access. Advertisements will be going out about that to invite groups to come. That's in preparation for work and bidding to have access from a wide range of companies. There'll also be one related to workforce that'll be further down the schedule. The second thing, I just wanted to update the board that Marmon's team related to human resources and HR again visited in person this past month. Met was guided by the workforce, formerly the Workforce Investment Board, the Workforce Board Executive Director, to a number of different groups, including local groups, but all workforce development groups, and had a great couple of days on site, and continues to be looking toward their plan for HR for their time frame. And then I wanted to ask Roddy to give the sort of status update on the project.
Thanks, Marion. So to give you a brief update, over the last 4 weeks, we've gotten into the GMP setting process. So we're working through estimates and schedules right now. To do that, we've had some breakout sessions in what Gilbane calls pull planning, which is essentially getting all the stakeholders together and working through a layout of all the milestone dates to work towards what that set schedule is going to look like. Beyond that, we're also working towards creating an early procurement package. I wanted to bring that to your attention for us to be able to request maybe in the future a special meeting of the board, if that would be possible. We're going to be looking to go ahead with some of the early works that they'll need to do procurement for ahead of the GMP in order for us to maintain the overall project schedule. Beyond that, we've been working alongside our owner's rep, who's also developing their own estimate and schedule concurrently, so that we have those two to back check each other and arrive at a solid schedule and cost. And then other than that, on site, as you know, we're not working right now. The town has directed we maintain our environmental and stormwater controls, and that's our update.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add to what Rich had said. Rich in particular, I think, is the only member of staff who will meet with the South End Neighborhood Association tomorrow night. It's part of an invite that we've been working on for several months, involving the EPA, DEC, environmental justice advocates, on how everyone in the South End interacts with each other, discuss truck traffic, air quality, what the port is doing, what the port can do, what South End advocates can do. I know that the mayor, Congressman Tonko, and the local regional EPA administrator have all been invited. I cannot confirm if all three will be there, along with Rich, to discuss it. So more public outreach that the port is continuing to do.
And that's in person, and it's at the Salvation Army, the campus of hope, tomorrow evening at 6.
Well, Megan, I did have one more note. Just to give you a sense of where we are Timeline-wise for the GMP, we're pushing to receive the GMP in 7 weeks. That's where we're at, so we've had about 4 weeks so far, and looking at 7 weeks to receive them.
We'll have, an item later on the agenda related to real estate development and an item in executive session due to negotiation. That's it for us.
Any other questions? Okay.
Hi guys, it's Mike. I just wanted to say, I found the Guild Lane MWBE meeting notice online. If the worst one is gonna happen before our next meeting, could you just email that around?
Yes, Michael, yes, but it is not expected to happen before the next board meeting, and we will do that, thank you.
Okay.
So, before you, we have, resolution 23-2022. I know, for most of these, Pat provided, an extensive memorandum, a memo that outlined, the need for them, but I don't know, Christine or Pat, if you have any additional comments or if members have questions.
I'll just point out for the record that these are Christine's
Oh, did I say the wrong thing?
memos to me and the board.
Oh, sorry, I only read the first side. Take credit, I'm sorry.
I may have made amendments to them, but I will not take credit.
I apologize.
I will not take
I
her
did
credit.
read them last night, but, I only must have read the topics, so not sure. So sorry. So Christine, would you please give us an overview? Your memo was really, extensive and, yeah, was
So-
extremely helpful, so thank you.
Due to the changes to the actual buildings, once the PEM was contracted and developed, then McFarland Johnson and Envision had to work with, CMG and Marlin to make some changes, and that's what this, resolution 23-2022 is about, for their additional site civil work, the structural redesign, the architectural redesign, and the MEP redesign for a total of $85,895.
Does anyone have any questions for Christine? Okay, so I'll take a motion to approve, 23-2022, that authorizes the CEO to execute necessary documents to process McFarland Johnson Engineering Service change order at a cost not to exceed $85,895.
I just have one question though. The composition of the proposed walls was different than the basis of design. McFarland Johnson then was comfortable, I presume, with the change.
Yes, and I know there was an extensive meeting between
Okay,
McFarland
all right.
Johnson and
I
Envision
move that we
Marlin.
adopt the resolution.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Wonderful. Okay, so we have the second one, 24-2022. So you wanna?
This relates to the infrastructure and design and permitting of the expansion project. And subsequent to what was approved and, agreed to in the contract, McFarland Johnson had to provide additional design and field services and attend additional meetings, preparation of a separate SWIP and related inspections, additional tasks related to obtaining national grid permits, surveys, stormwater treatment, and design. So, their change order went into great detail, which I've just summarized, in the memorandum by area, which totals $190,500.
Did they give you breakdowns of some of these unit prices?
Not the unit prices, but, so there are in each one of these, like the site preparation, bidding support, there's 8 bullets, so there's multiple
Okay,
bullets.
so they did give you breakdowns,
Yes,
like on
there's
the
quite a
SWIP
bit
inspection,
of
okay.
detail in what they provided.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions for Christine? Okay, we'll take a motion to approve 24-2022, which authorizes the change order for McFarland Johnson Engineering Services, at a cost not to exceed $190,000, sorry, and $50.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, wonderful. So the next one is regarding, a grant, that the port has received, and so I'll turn it over to Christine.
So, we received a grant for $4.8 million from New York State DOT for the Maritime Freight Handling Expansion Project. The total of this project is $170 million. This is also part of our Tiger received back in 2016, so there's, of the additional 6.3 million that the port, needs to match, 4.36 million is part of the Tiger funding that we've already received from a previous project. So that leaves just over $2 million of our match. $800,000 of that is administrative costs, so the cash out of pocket for this project is just over $1.2 million.
And that comes from?
Operations.
The only issue that scared me was one of the resolve that said, in the event the full cost of the project exceeds the amount appropriated above, the Albany Port District Commission shall convene as soon as possible to appropriate said excess amount. So what if it's $14 million instead of $11.1 million?
Majority of this is related to the Tiger project. It's complementing the Tiger project that has been in a high level of design. And we had mentioned in board meetings in the past that due to the supply chain pressures and cost and pressures, that there had been an increase. This will help complement what is intended to get done. The level of design that is mostly complete, I think provides a good sense of assurity for the range, that we're not expecting it to be an astronomical change at that level.
So the numbers reflect today's.
Well, I'm not concerned with the design level of how complete the design is. I'm concerned with the current bid environment, which is not good. You know, I mean, we've seen some numbers that are frightening. So that's why I had a question on that issue. Just make sure that it's got some risk here.
So I'm sorry, you said the 1.2 million, is that something that we've included in the budget for this year, or it's coming out of reserve?
Will be coming out in future years.
Okay, so it'll be incorporated into next year's budget. And will this then wrap up the like the work in the Tiger?
Yes, wrap up and augment. We've been having positive outcomes with increase in cargo, which was actually one of the intents of the Tiger funding. This will enable us to improve Shed 1, which was originally intended to be demolished. So it's exciting that we have the need, and it will also improve the rail at the west side of Shed 1, which hasn't been used in decades, and will be beneficial to the movement of cargo. So we are excited about that. It'll wrap up Tiger and also augment what the original plan was.
I think one suggestion, Christine, in the future, looking at the fact that we're getting a little bit more exotic with some of our budget items, we may want to increase the contingency in some of our future year budgets. Now this year it's like 180,000.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, maybe later you need to up like maybe $500,000 on a contingency. It's a contingency. If you don't spend it, you don't spend it. But I think just a level of risk in.
Well, and even as we apply for some of these, right, we know sort of going in what the potential match is, and so if there's some way to be accounting for that.
At least you're covering it,
yeah.
At least more than 180,000.
I mean, it's a good problem to have, I'll just say that. We're thankful to be aggressive with our projects and our grant applications, so thank you to the staff that worked on that.
We're very excited to get the additional state money.
Yes, and appreciate the state's investment and support. Are there any other questions about the grant?
I move we adopt.
Oh, hold on, I think Rich, were you wanting to say something?
I was just gonna say, Georgette, that we had a study conducted on that building, which led us to this rehab that is proposed with this grant. CHA come down a couple years ago, because as Megan had said, it was gonna be torn down, and CHA did a complete top to bottom, side to side, and recommended that the bones of the building are in great shape to rehab it the way
some tenants that they're looking for, or commodities to go in there. So, Joe made a motion to approve resolution 25-2022. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Alright.
I just wanted to say thank you to Cheryl Stock, actually played a role in that grant application. We had tried before for that funding and had been successful, so we were excited about this plan being supported, and it just is another testament that all our staff is really firing on all cylinders here.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a lease agreement.
Yeah, so as I teased last month, I've been working with a hydrogen power company, Daroga Power, to lease the 7 acres on South Pearl that we've had vacant for a while. And through the agreement, they were going to propose to put a certain number of fuel cells. They need to do the engineering and due diligence work, and that's where the 3-year lease option starts. They don't intend to take 3 years. It's just, more once they have the option up through their engineering, but once they start construction, they have to exercise the actual lease and start paying the full lease amount at that point. So there's little impact during construction. These fuel cells are made somewhere else and just shipped in. They're put on a concrete slab, so not a lot of trucks are going to go through the south side, and it does fit into the hydrogen projects that the state wants to do. So we're looking for approval to start this 3-year lease option with Daroga.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? The lease is based on the appraised value. And this just, I think, authorizes us for our statutory 90-day, or is it authorizing the rent the lease after the statutory 90-day?
This is authorizing the lease itself, the 3-year initial option with the full lease following it, along with the 90-day notice. And Chairperson, I'll just point out the appraised value on the acreage over there is just under 8,000, and Josh's negotiation was for 55,000 per acre. 25.
Yep, sorry.
25.
All good.
So I'll take a motion to approve resolution 26-2022.
I'll make a motion. to approve.
Second, all right, thank you, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Is there any other business?
Just executive.
Yeah, so,
Each side of me spoken. Just up to date on the public, the PLA. Hopefully, while I'm sitting here, my outside counsel is sending me one more tweak. Mike Lyons from the Trade Council met with our outside counsel, me, and some of our folks from Albany. Once we had them in place, it was important from both sides. Actually, Mike said that it was important to meet with them before this was finalized, so that everybody was on the same page. And during that meeting and some back and forth and some emails, Gilbane requested some language amendments that Mike agreed to, and realized that it would make for smoother flow once everybody's on site, which is what we are striving for. So that should be done this week. We'll have to go back and forth with each other again. Mike Lyons has continually said that once that's done, his side, the several boards at ESCO, which are several, should be about a week. So I'm hopeful that at our next board meeting, and we may ask for a special meeting in between, that this board could approve that document once it's finalized.
great, any questions for Pat on that? Okay, so I will take a motion to enter executive session for discussions regarding proposed, pending, or current litigation.
Correct.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Yeah, at this point, when you notice the meetings, you know, just the fact that public comment will be within
keep the
the
contents.
You know what,
They did
we're in a session,
They're not
you're
doing
trying to
a
cap it
second.
at 30 minutes, I mean, holy moly.
And then okay, give me 1 second, we're in the process, so we'll hear some.
I expect that some of those people are gonna be returning.
Or something, right, so that we're not responsible.
We're showing up on the, hang on 1 second.
Okay.
We can make them all vote.
It's the only time I get to see you.
We're live.
Okay, wonderful. So no action was taken during executive session, and our next board meeting will be Wednesday, July 27th. Starting at noon, we will have a finance committee meeting, and then we will roll into our board meeting after that. So with no other business, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.